Happy Friday morning, everybody. Hope you're having a great start to the day. We're almost to the weekend, and it's right on time for the weather to crank up just a little bit for us here in Northwest Arkansas and the River Valley. Quite the active weather pattern expected Saturday night into Sunday, and a massive cold blast expected for the early part of next week. Now, I'm going to make this one pretty quick today. Yesterday, we were on for a little over an hour. We answered a lot of questions. If you have some questions, make sure you put them in the comments. This is really just to give you an update on the latest details, show you the latest track of the system, kind of show you what we're expecting. But really, nothing has changed too significantly compared to what we had yesterday. So I'll go ahead and be upfront about that and everything. We're still expecting predominantly rain over Northwest Arkansas and the River Valley as we move throughout Sunday. There still is a chance for some light wintry mix, but no doubt about it, it is going to get brutally cold next week. In some locations, we could see wind chill values below single digits. So definitely going to be very, very cold across our weather coverage area. Let's get right to the latest details. First of all, wanted to kind of start with a little special Furcast for you this morning. You know, we always show this during the morning hours. And I wanted to show this off here on the Weather Live stream because I know a lot of folks maybe are asleep during the morning newscast. We always show this every single day. I absolutely love it. And I'll give you the latest details if you guys want to send in a photo. But this is Sugar sent in from Katie. So, Katie, if you just so happen to be watching this live stream, shout out to Sugar. Absolutely adorable, sitting there on the little bed. And I'll tell you what, guys, the reason why I'm showing the Furcast right now is because I want to show you these temperatures. Highs today topping out in the middle to upper 40s with mostly sunny skies. Usually, temperatures like this are like, okay, that's pretty chilly. When is it going to warm up again? But believe it or not, this is as warm as it's going to get over the next 7 days. So enjoy it while it lasts because it is going to get brutally cold for next week and maybe even beyond that as well. So Sugar, hopefully you're staying inside. Of course, if you guys want your pet featured on the Furcast during the morning hours, you can send us those pet photos. You can either send that to the Weather Authority app or email them to us at weather@knwa.com. Again, weather@knwa.com going to be the best way to send in those Furcast photos. And Sugar, hope you have a great weekend, a great, fantastic Friday, because man, oh man, is it going to get cold as we move throughout the next several days. Let's go ahead and take a look at satellite and radar right now. Of course, cold front sagging off to the south and east as we speak. It's a little bit farther south than what it's shown on the map, but you can get a general idea of what's going on. High pressure is firmly in control right now over the midsection of the country. That will remain the case over the next 12 hours or so. But folks, you can already see it right now on water vapor. There is the next storm system arriving onshore as we speak. This is the system that's going to be responsible for the widespread impacts over portions of Missouri, Kansas, Illinois, Iowa, Nebraska, Kentucky. A lot of states over the Midwest are going to be impacted by this system. And Northwest Arkansas and the River Valley will also see impacts just in a much different way. While those areas are going to see a significant amount of snow, freezing rain, sleet, Northwest Arkansas and the River Valley, our predominant precipitation type is going to be in the form of rain. And you'll see that reflected here on Future Track. Now, again, the track of this low pressure system is key and is the reason why we're going to see mostly rain. Now, this particular Future Track model, a little bit behind with the timing of the low pressure system, but you can get a general idea of its track. Notice how it's moving off to the north and east as we move throughout the early morning hours on Sunday. Significant amount of rain over Northwest Arkansas early Sunday morning. So again, the timing of this system remains unchanged. Most of the rain is going to be coming through overnight Saturday at about 12 o'clock a.m. through early Sunday morning at 11 a.m. Now, we're going to stop it right here. Notice the temperatures at 12:30 p.m. Middle to upper 30s in Northwest Arkansas and Southwest Missouri. Lower 60s in portions of the River Valley. That is absolutely insane. So a big temperature difference. But this is at the exact time where I think this cold front's going to be moving through, right around 12 to 1 o'clock p.m. Some of the models are saying earlier, others are saying later. If it is going to come in at a different time, it'll be earlier. I don't think it's going to get any later than this. 12:30 to 1 o'clock p.m. is when I'm expecting this front to move through. And you can already see where the low pressure is located. Look at those strong winds wrapping around the northwest side of the system. Maybe some freezing rain accumulation possible in southwest Missouri towards Berry and McDonald County, certainly possible. The closer you get to the Arkansas-Missouri border, the more likely you are to run into that wintry mix. So this is where the initial wintry mix will be possible Sunday. But look at the temperatures. I mean, they are going to start tanking almost immediately. As soon as that front moves through, you're going to start seeing those temperatures drop off very quickly. So by 3 o'clock p.m., lower to middle 30s in northwest Arkansas, lower to middle 40s in the River Valley. And keep an eye on this wind. Southwesterly winds at 22 miles per hour, bam, shifting to the west at 4 to 5 o'clock p.m. and will continue to shift off to the north and west. Now, here's the deal. Notice here on Future Track, by the time we get to 6:30 p.m., it is showing the potential for winter weather in far northwestern Arkansas. Now, this will be very light. There will not be a whole lot of moisture remaining on the backside of the system. A lot of dry air moving in with these northwesterly winds. However, it is very important to point out that above our heads, above the surface, the Arctic air is going to be quite shallow at this point. What do I mean by that? Well, obviously, a lot of cold air is going to be racing into northwest Arkansas and the River Valley, but above our heads, it's going to take longer for that column of air to get below freezing. So, even though this model is showing snow and only snow over northwest Arkansas, I would not be surprised if the predominant precipitation type was freezing drizzle mixed with a few snowflakes. And of course, we all know freezing drizzle is the precipitation type we really don't want here in northwest Arkansas and the River Valley. That can cause problems. Remember, a little bit of snow and sleet does nothing. A little bit of freezing drizzle can go a really long way. So we've got to make sure that we're being careful Sunday evening into the overnight hours in case there is freezing drizzle. Now, here's the deal. This model has a lot of the rain moving out pretty quickly. If that does happen, the flash freeze potential would be quite low because when it comes to a flash freeze, it's really reliant on how much ponding you've got going on the roadways for that to kind of glaze over as ice. So if we do get a break in the activity in terms of the rain and the cold air, I think that we're going to be fine in terms of the flash freeze. But again, that's not set in stone. So that is something that we're concerned about as well. But regardless, according to the latest computer models, a wintry mix will be possible during the late afternoon and overnight hours Sunday into early Monday morning. But my goodness, I mean, you're looking at the temperatures right now. It is brutally cold in northwest Arkansas, 2 o'clock a.m. Strong northerly winds at 20 miles per hour. And this is my main concern, the wind chill values. I mean, it is going to tank as we move throughout Sunday. I mean, at 10 o'clock a.m., temperatures are still technically pretty warm over a large part of the coverage area. I mean, for this time of year. But look at the wind chills, already in the middle 20s because of how strong the winds are. And as we move throughout Sunday afternoon, we're going to see those wind chill values fall off into the single digits, teens, and 20s area-wide. And it will only get colder as we move throughout the overnight hours Sunday. You're waking up Monday morning, and you've got wind chill values below zero in some spots and in the single digits in other areas. So as the kiddos are heading to the bus stop Monday morning, it is imperative that they have multiple layers on, that they have gloves on, that they're able to have multiple layers on in terms of socks as well. Folks, you got to make sure you're being very careful early Monday morning. And beyond that as well, because temperatures will remain chilly as we move throughout the rest of next week. So definitely going to have to take those cold weather precautions next week as the kiddos head to the bus stop, maybe delay them heading outside, limit the amount of time you spend outside, especially during the early morning hours next week. Just, it's going to be really cold. And I see we got some good questions coming in right now, so we're going to get to that in just a moment. But here's a look at the extended outlook. I mean, it's so cold that some of this is overlapping with each other. I mean, I'm going to move myself out of the way right now. 14 degrees for a low Monday morning, 12 degrees Tuesday, 11 degrees Wednesday, 13 degrees Thursday. And that's not even factoring in the wind that we could see over northwest Arkansas and the River Valley. So an extended period of cold air with all that snowpack off to our north, definitely going to be very, very cold. So, folks, make sure you're ready to rock and roll next week. Make sure you've got those cold safety plans ready to rock and roll too, because this looks like it's going to be sticking around for an extended period of time. And we definitely got to make sure that we are staying weather aware here in northwest Arkansas and the River Valley. Let's see here. Let's go ahead and show this right here. This is a nice little graph right here. Here's some cold weather tips for you. We're going to show these off. So remember, we've got the 4 Ps, right? So remember your plants. Obviously, you got to make sure that they're protected. Got to make sure that they're covered. If you really care about them, right, you're going to make sure that they're brought inside as well if they're not already inside, because those plants will definitely be impacted by this cold, obviously. Pipes is going to be our most important thing for next week. Insulating the pipes. Keep the faucets dripping in northwest Arkansas, especially if your home is susceptible to weather like this. This is going to be an extended period of time of sub-freezing temperatures. We don't have the infrastructure like folks do in the Midwest where they can kind of prepare for this a little bit better. So make sure the faucets are dripping. Make sure the pipes are insulated. Now is the time to check them out because it's going to be too late once all this cold air starts moving through. Of course, this is one thing I've really been harping on as well, pets. Um, I know a lot of folks have outdoor pets, right? They got like dogs that stay outside, cats that stay outside. I know it's not always feasible to bring them inside the house, but at the very least, make sure they're in a warm, sheltered area. So you can bring them into the garage, bring them into a barn, something like that, something where they're going to be able to stay warm because these kind of temperatures can impact them as well. Because a lot of times, you put food and water outside, that water can be frozen over and then they don't have access to fresh water at that point. So remember the pets, make sure they're protected, make sure they're brought into a warm area, and just make sure you're looking out for your furry friends. And of course, look out for the people as well. If you've got elderly neighbors or you've got folks that, maybe are not as prepared for the cold weather that's coming in, check in on them. Make sure they're okay. Make sure they've got an area that they can get warm, and make sure that they know they can come to your house maybe if you trust them to stay warm. Just make sure you're checking on your neighbors, check on the people that you care about, and make sure they're prepared for the cold weather. And if they have, some issues and stuff like that, make sure they got a backup plan as well in order to stay safe during all this cold weather. So that's the 4 P's right there: plants, pipes, pets, and people. And now we are going to get to the viewer comments. So let me go ahead and move this out of the way. I'm going to move us over to the future track. That way we have a graphic on screen for people that are just joining. And let's see here. Let's get to some of the comments. Hey there, Brian. Hope you're having a great morning, having a great day as well. Snow in Harrison would be awesome. Michael, I would rather have snow than freezing rain. I just think that looking at the atmosphere, looking at that column of air above the surface, I think the majority of the precipitation, if we even get any, remember, on the backside of the system, it's going to be very dry. Sometimes the models don't pick up on that as well. You got to eke out moisture out of the atmosphere. You got to squeeze every last bit. Sometimes the Arctic air can do it. It's like, kind of when you take a rag that's wet, you kind of go like this with it, squeeze out all the water. That's how Arctic air is. It squeezes every last drop of moisture out of the atmosphere on the backside of the system. Sometimes, you can get some unexpected burst of freezing rain, sleet, or snow. Other times you get nothing at all because it's just so dry on the backside of the system. So we'll have to watch those relative humidity values very, very closely. K-Arc is already talking about Thursday next week for potential winter storm. Thoughts? Well, the cold air is going to be in place. So if there's a system that goes on top of this cold air, probably going to be a winter weather maker. Now, I'm not going to show model runs right now because they are going back and forth and back and forth and back and forth. I mean, you probably saw the GFS run this morning. It had a ton of snow, had a huge ice storm in Louisiana, a huge snowstorm in central Arkansas. And then the very next model run that comes out has nothing. It's like way south. So there's a lot of time for this to adjust. I will say this about this piece of energy. One thing about this piece of energy, it's going to originate from the Baja region of Mexico. And without fail, those kind of systems are always underdone by the models. They're always underdone because you can't get as much information in that region of the world. For whatever reason, the grids there are not as great as what you see, out in the Western United States, anywhere else. So sometimes the models can underestimate this. Other times it's onto something. So we'll see what happens. It's a little bit early to look at models, but the cold air is going to be in place. If there is a storm system next week, it will be wintry in nature. No doubt about it. If. That's the main question right now. Kathy, you and me both. I mean, Monday morning, I'm going to have to get right out into it right there. I live up in Bella Vista. I got to keep an eye on that freezing drizzle potential. If we do have freezing drizzle, I'm going to stay in a hotel down here. Yeah, you're exactly right about that. Let's see. Oh, yeah. Here we go. Yeah. Boo. Come on. Get it out right now, guys. Get in the comments. Get all your boos out. Get all your jeers and stuff like that. I have to be the bearer of bad news, I know, and I hate doing it as well. Look, it's early in the year. I know there's a lot of people who love snow, who love winter weather. We've got plenty of time. So we're going to be watching it very closely. I just don't think this is going to be the system to do it. I don't think this is going to be the system for our area. Now, the area that will have the potential to get a significant amount of winter weather is Kansas City. Evan's commenting on that right now. And yes, Evan, Kansas City might get hammered. And I'm talking like a foot of snow maybe in some spots, especially off to the north of Kansas City. So that is going to be a highly impactful winter storm. No doubt about it in Kansas City. And even with the slightly southerly track as well, which I'm seeing from the models, it's not like egregious enough to like say we're going to have winter weather in Northwest Arkansas right now or significant winter weather, but it is a little bit farther south, which means that convective banding could go on in Kansas City. Y'all might get some thunder snow up there. So that's going to be crazy if that actually happens there. Ooh, good tip here from Kathy. Open your lower cabinet doors. Another great tip right there. That helps with the insulation process. Good comment there. Alex, that air could definitely come in much colder with the impressive potential of snowpack to the north next week. And that's the thing, too. That's why it's going to stay cold down here. Usually, in order to get sub-freezing temperatures like this in Northwest Arkansas for an extended period of time, we need the snowpack off to the north, and we need snowpack here in Northwest Arkansas. Now, we're not going to have that, but you've got that snowpack to the north, and you've got these reinforcing shots of cold air that are moving to the area. Yeah, it's going to be cold for a long time. That is for sure. Hey, Josh, severe weather is possible for Sunday, and it is possible for areas to the south and east of our area, Jason. Let's go ahead and look at the latest day 3 convective outlook here. And what you'll notice in this outlook is that there is a marginal risk of severe weather clipping eastern Scott County. Can't rule out a strong storm in eastern Scott County. But here's a look at the day 3 convective outlook. Again, you saw those temperatures on Future Track. Middle 60s in portions of the River Valley, upper 40s, lower 50s in portions of Northwest Arkansas as well. Wouldn't be surprised if we got a few rumbles of thunder initially up and down the I-49 Interstate 40 corridor. Now, as you can see, far eastern portions of our weather coverage area, so we're talking Scott, Logan, Franklin County, even southeastern Newton County included in that marginal risk of severe weather there. Again, the main severe weather risk is obviously off to our south and east. We talked about this yesterday. This area right here is going to have quite a bit of instability. Also, quite a bit of wind shear, so some tornado potential will certainly exist in these areas. And we're talking QLCS tornado potential, so a little taste of what Northwest Arkansas and the River Valley usually gets. Thankfully, for our area, we don't have that instability in place. It will just be a little bit too cold. Don't have the most favorable environment in place, but certainly could get some thunderstorm activity Sunday morning. Don't be surprised if you hear some rumbles of thunder as you wake up Sunday morning. And look at this, too. Thunder snow. Thunder snow. Uh-oh. These areas right here might get some convective banding and may get some thunder snow. No doubt about it. So that will be an interesting sight. We'll see if that actually happens in those spots. So Frankie's asking, if we do get freezing rain, will it stick around Monday morning? Delays expected. So that's a very good question, Frankie. Remember, freezing drizzle, and this is the thing. This is why it's the absolute worst. And I mentioned this at the beginning. 0.1 inches of snow. Actually, let me get even smaller. A few hundredths of an inch of snow, a trace amount of snow is nothing. It does nothing. Same thing with sleet. A few hundredths of an inch of ice, depending on what your temperature is, that can do something. So, having said that, if we do get some light freezing drizzle, it could cause some issues. Especially if the transition happens quicker than what the models are showing, and if we actually do get freezing drizzle. Because remember, maybe the shallow layer of cold air is a little bit deeper than what I'm forecasting. Then it ends up being snow, and then it ends up not being a big deal because it's light snow. But again, we have to keep an eye on it. I'm sure the Arkansas Department of Transportation is watching it very closely. If it's a few hundredths of an inch, that can be resolved, right, with salt and brine and stuff like that. Like after the precipitation passes, they can start taking care of that. Now, here's the deal. When you've got these cold temperatures during the overnight hours, sometimes you have concerns about refreezing. So that's another thing that we've got to watch very closely. Monday morning there could be some issues. Now, again, it just depends on when the transition happens. Here's the deal. If you live in these areas right here, you see this arrow right here? If you live south of this line, you don't have to worry about it. If you live in Fort Smith, River Valley, I-40 corridor, south of this line, you don't have anything to worry about. If you live in Washington County, a little bit farther east towards Madison County, we'll watch it, but it looks like if there's going to be any impacts, it's going to be in this northern row of counties right here. So Delaware County, Southwest Missouri, Berry McDonald County, Benton County, Carroll County, and Boone County. those counties right here, I think if there's going to be any impacts, it's going to be in those spots. Just because of how much dry air is going to be punching into Northwest Arkansas on the backside of the system. Not to say that we can't eke out some freezing drizzle in Washington County. I certainly think it will probably happen. But I think if there's going to be impact from winter weather, it will probably be in Southwest Missouri and far northwestern Arkansas. So we'll keep a close eye on it. That's a good question. I would definitely use caution if you have to be out on the roadways Monday morning. And we'll keep an eye again. Now, here's the deal, Kathy. We don't make that decision. I know a lot of schools are watching the forecast very closely. We don't make that decision. We can give them guidance. We can give them the latest details. Delayed start, maybe Monday morning. I mean, especially, here's the deal. If anything else, I guess I can give this guidance right now. It is going to be very cold early Monday morning. Very cold. So if there's a delayed start because of how cold the temperatures are going to be, I could certainly see that happening. Just because, I mean, I don't know if we want people out there when there's below zero wind chills, that can be quite dangerous, especially if folks don't have access to, gloves or, multiple layers of socks. I mean, there's some folks out there that are not as fortunate. So again, when it comes to the temperatures Monday morning, it could be a little bit dangerous if you are not protected, if you're not prepared properly. So make sure you're taking it easy Monday morning and have the proper steps in place in order to stay protected from this cold weather. But again, we'll watch it Monday morning. We don't make that call. The schools make that call, but it will definitely be very cold Monday morning. So be very careful. Yeah, Aaron said it best. It's always the dry slot always comes through here. And it's like literally the perfect track, Aaron, for the dry slot to push right through Northwest Arkansas and the River Valley. So, I mean, the moisture is going to have to be wringed out big time in order for us to get light freezing drizzle. So we'll watch it. Happy Friday. Do you think today will be a good day to do our exercise walking around the neighborhood? I do think so, Daniel. I think today is going to be your best opportunity to do it because it just gets colder and colder and colder as we move throughout next week. Please keep pets inside. Michelle, you're saying it best right there. I absolutely agree with that. Got my last burn-in last night for a while. Going to be too cold to smoke meat. Got 50 pounds of brisket to keep me warm. Well, Alex, you're cooking with gas. Good luck with that brisket, my man. 50 pounds. That sounds like a finger-licking good time right there. And it will be cold next week, that's for sure. Snowstorm is back for the model huggers for next week, of course. Of course, and I said it yesterday. I promised myself at the beginning of this live stream I was not going to go on a rant like I did yesterday. But they're already back at it. I know they are. All you can do is just pray for them, I guess. I don't know. I don't know what to say. It frustrates me to no end. I know James Spann, by the way, I know some of you know who James Spann is. The great meteorologist down in Alabama, one of the best in the business. Guy never sleeps. He was talking about it this morning on social media, and he basically, the bottom line is, what can you do? We can't control them. We can't control what people put on social media or wherever out there. So, yeah, just it is what it is. It is what it is. I have a doctor appointment at 9:45. Do I need a ride or can I ride my bike Monday morning? Woo! Daniel, I would not ride your bike Monday morning. I would not ride your bike Monday morning. My friend, you're gonna feel some really cold temperatures Monday morning for sure. I would not be out there riding the bike because then you're riding the bike and then you're getting hit in the face with all that wind and stuff like that. No go on that, buddy. Yeah, no go on riding the bike. Now, in terms of getting a ride, yes. Now 9:45 is pretty early, right? So we got to keep an eye on any freezing drizzle and stuff like that. But again, by that point, I think the Department of Transportation will probably have it handled. So we'll see. But take it easy Monday morning, folks. Take it easy Sunday night and Monday morning. If we have freezing drizzle, it could cause some issues. Love James Spann. He's the bomb.com, says Missy. So, yeah, James Spann, absolute legend. That man right there is the GOAT. He is one of the GOATs in the weather community. So, I absolutely love him, and I think he's one of the best. All right. We're at 27 minutes and 30 seconds. 2 minutes and 30 seconds. Rapid fire questions. If you guys got any more, I just made it to the bottom of the comments. 2 minutes and 30 seconds. Ask some questions right now, and I'll go rapid fire on these. We'll go as quickly as possible if you got any more. But I pretty much have gotten through everything again, it's just going to be really cold. Just get ready. Brace yourselves for the Arctic blast. It's coming next week, no doubt about it. It's going to be cold for a long time. Below zero wind chills possible early Monday morning. Make sure you've got those proper cold-related precautions ready to rock and roll. And here it is right here. Here's one last look at those wind chill values. But if you got any more questions, ask them right now. I'm sure Zach Gilday will be here this evening with another live stream with the latest updates. He'll probably have some more high-resolution data for you as well. So be sure to tune in then. But hope everybody has a great weekend. Hope everybody, again, has had a great Christmas, had a great New Year. If you guys are wondering when Dan's coming back, it's going to be next Tuesday, I believe. So, yeah, next week, early next week, next Tuesday. He'll be back, ready to rock and roll. Zach will be here over the weekend watching this very closely. I'll be back Monday morning, of course, with the latest details on what's going on the roadway. So if there are some hazardous weather conditions going on over our area, I'll be here Monday morning watching it very, very closely. If you want some more details, you can go to knwa.com. I did post a weather blog there. We've got a weather blog up. It's a very quick read. There's also a special video forecast on there as well that can give you some of the latest details. Here's a look at the Weather Authority app too. You can go to that, scan the QR code. You'll see the latest hour-by-hour information there. Chock load of information as well. So that's a great resource to have. Another way you can kind of get some more details. Again, I just talked about the weather blog as well. You can go to our website, knwa.com or fox24news.tv. But let's see here. I'm getting a few more questions here. I'm hearing that we could get some snow next week sometime. I missed the broadcast. So, Joshua, we'll get to that next week, okay? So I promise you, if there's still something on the radar next week, we will get to that for sure. It's just a little bit too early for me to get into details about it. The models are like literally in the span of this morning. You had one model come out. It has an ice storm, a snowstorm, a severe weather outbreak, everything you can ever imagine over the southeast United States. Very next model run, same exact model, nothing at all. So, yeah, we're going to be all over the place over the next few days. So I promise you, we will get to those details next week if it's still on our radar. And again, it's going to be cold enough for it next week in our area. So if there is a system that is potentially moving through northwest Arkansas and the River Valley, or is looking like it's getting close enough that we need to watch it, we will be on here with some more weather live streams. Let's see here. Absolutely, Timmy. Appreciate you joining in today. It seems like Dan always knows when to take off. Yo, it is literally uncanny, though. I called it with him, too. I said, look, as soon as you take off, something's going to go down. And, of course, we get this big Arctic blast right on cue, right on time. Last year when he left for the Christmas season, bam, big Arctic blast over our area. This year, leads, bam, big Arctic blast. Maybe we need to talk about the Dan effect right now, Alex. We always talk about the Colby effect and stuff like that. What about the Dan effect? There might be a little Dan effect right there. Happy Friday. Keep your pets safe, warm, and play Legos next week. We're going to go walk around the neighborhood today. I think that is an absolutely fantastic idea. Nikita, Abby, any snow on Sunday? Light winter precipitation. Very light. The farther north and west you go, the more likely you are to run into that winter weather potential. I'll show you one last look at this computer model here. That way you can kind of see what I'm talking about. If you live in the River Valley, not this time, just too much dry air. But those northern row of counties may have the potential for some light wintry mix. I personally, Abby, lean towards this being more maybe freezing drizzle, just looking at that column of air above the surface. If we do get any light snow, the accumulations will be very light. If we do get any light freezing rain, the accumulations will be very light. But light snow won't cause a whole lot of issues. Light freezing rain could cause some problems Sunday night into Monday morning. So stay weather aware, stay tuned, and keep it here with your Weather Authority team for the latest, and you should be A-okay. But it's definitely going to be cold, no doubt about it. Absolutely. Christina, thank you so much for the kind words. And thank you guys so much for joining in. I don't see any more comments right now. I'll give it 30 more seconds. 30 more seconds. So if you guys got any more comments, let me know. I'm going to wrap this up. We'll get home. I'm heading down to Durant to hang out with some friends at Durant, Oklahoma. So we're going to be hanging out down there. Hope everybody has a fabulous weekend. Stay warm. Stay safe. Join in on the newscast later tonight, starting at 5 o'clock with Zach Gilday. He's going to have all the latest details. Really appreciate appreciate you guys asking all these wonderful questions, staying in tune with the weather, and also, again, as I said yesterday, being patient with us as well. Like I said, it's very hard to forecast this stuff in this day and age of social media and stuff like that. So we just really appreciate you guys being patient with us. But I think we're going to wrap this up right now. Y'all have a fabulous weekend. God bless you. And we'll see you later tonight starting at 5 o'clock with Zach Gilday. Have a great Friday, everybody.